a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone.
Hello, YouTubers. So as you saw in one of my episodes a while back, I'm a big fan of the TV show How I Met Your Mother. I discovered it. I had ever not actually I had heard of it, but not actually ever gotten a chance to watch it regularly on TV. So I ended up discovering it on the instant Netflix. And I just fell in love with the show. The show was just awesome. It was a great show. So recently, they had season 9 was the final season. They decided that this was going to be the last season. So of course, being the last season, they were finally actually going to reveal how Ted met his kid's mother. So I thought, Netflix recently put up the ninth and final season. And so I of course watched it, and I thought I'd bring my thoughts on the series finale, on the very last show. So obviously there will be spoilers. So if you're a fan of the show but haven't yet gotten your way to the final episode, I would recommend you not watch this video until you get to it, because obviously there are going to be obvious spoilers. So in the end, I gotta say I love this show. I was really disappointed with the way that they wound up ending it. And that's because, it's, first of all, the show is How I Met Your Mother. So for all this time, the whole show is kind of revolving around, supposedly he's telling, the story of how, that eventually leads up to how he met his kid's mother. So finally, of course, this last season, she becomes a character. And the very last episode is where they actually reveal how Ted met Tracy, met met the kid's mother. After all that build up, they really the main problem was they kind of just shoehorn in them meeting, and then after that happens, what they do is they kind of start jumping around through the times in their in the gang's life. So they just jump years and randomly cram things in. So the first thing that happens is the entire season 9 was building up to Robin and Barney's wedding. So every single episode of season 9 is like hours before the wedding. Now, this is after, the past 2, maybe 3 seasons, they were building up Barney and Robin as a couple. And not to mention they went way out of their way, they did the whole will they, won't they kind of thing with Ted and Robin. But they went way out of their way showing that, Ted and Robin just don't work out. And hence, now it's Barney and Robin. All of a sudden, they jump 2 years down the road, and Barney and Robin just get divorced. Just no build up, no nothing. It's just they're like, okay, we built up this wedding for this whole season. Now let's jump forward a few years. Oh nope, they're divorced. Then so that there's more. They show moments of Ted and Tracy, the mother. They show moments of their lives. Then all of a sudden, it just similarly out of nowhere, it's just like, oh, and by the way, the mother got sick and died. And so the show ends up with Ted and Robin getting together like years and years down the road. They get back together. And it's just, it felt so, first of all, so shoehorned in there that it was just kind of ridiculous and pathetic. Like the way they're like, okay, we're going to jump into, different times as their way to justify that all this time passed, but we spent 9 seasons building up this story, and then they just shoehorn in these little things. And then furthermore, it's early on in the season the show was really all about Ted and Robin, about will they, won't they kind of thing. But after it continued for seasons and seasons, they went out of their way to make it obvious, okay, Ted and Robin just do not work together. Ted was crazy about Robin, but Robin didn't. She liked him as a friend, but didn't really love him. So it's kind of pathetic. It's to me, it's like it got to the point I didn't want to see them together anymore, because they had obviously not they obviously were not a match. So it was kind of like it's almost like Ted. I feel bad for the character Ted, because it's like, oh, so he just gets rejected by Robin, rejected by Robin, rejected by Robin, and then in the end it just winds up with her anyway. Like, it just didn't, it seemed way too shoehorned in, and it seemed to just throw away like all this character development over the past few seasons. And and the funny thing is, and I respect everyone's opinion. I was surprised by a lot of people I was seeing. A lot of people, of course, were equally upset, but a lot of people were actually defending it. And I defend, that's their right. And a lot of their argument was that's what the whole show really was about. It wasn't really about, Ted meeting the mother. It really was about Ted and Robin. The thing is, after the first couple of seasons, it really wasn't. I mean, they went out of their way to show that Ted and Robin did not work. So to me, like, Ted was still, obsessed with Robin here and there. Like, that would still pop into the storyline. But, they went out of their way to show that Robin didn't feel the same way. So to me, I took it like, Ted is still obsessed with Robin because he just hasn't met the right person. But then they shove in, like, this is, like, the right person, and they go out of their way to make it seem like she's so perfect for him, and then just kill the character off. I just thought it was really poorly done, and it was a shame because it was they ended this great show so, like, abruptly, and it was just a terrible ending in my personal opinion. But I mean, other than that, I love the show, so it didn't ruin the show for me, but it just kind of, it's a shame that it had to end in such a crummy way. Okay, thank you, YouTubers. Have a nice day.
Women so wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down, when you're strange. Faces come out of the rain when you're strange. No one remembers your name when you're strange. When you're strange. When you're strange. People are strange.